finally wrapping up the classes here. It's Class 1A. Last year, Lutheran was able to get the victory over Adams Central. And so the question is, hot or cold? Indianapolis Lutheran will make their third state final in 4 years. They made it in 2020. They made it in 2021. So can they get back again? 2019 and 2021. But for me, that's a cold take. They're defending state champions. Coach Dave Pash always has that team in contention. They're always so good. They do return Joe Davis, who had 1,200 yards rushing, and Micah McKay, who was their leading receiver last season. But they lose such a talent in Montesie Clay. He is gone. He was their quarterback and leading rusher. He had 2,564 yards passing, 32 touchdowns. He had 1,925 yards rushing, 33 touchdowns. So, 65 touchdowns, rushing and passing the football. That's insane. Lutheran does return some key pieces from a top 30 defense in the state last season, 13 points allowed per game. But it's going to be tough to make another deep tourney run without a dynamic player like Montesie Clay. Montesie Clay was on the 2019 team as well. He was one of their receivers on that squad that ended up going, and falling just short of Lafayette Central Catholic. So they lose a lot of talent, and that's just a lot hard to ignore. But they are going to be in contention. They're going to be another good school, but I just don't think they get back to the state final.
Hey, look, Lafayette Central Catholic's up there in 2A.
True.
So I'm going to go with this as a hot take. Look, when you are a part of a program that has made runs to the state finals like Lutheran has, you see that talent graduate ahead of you. You don't want to be the part of that program that doesn't get back there. There's been a precedent that's been set, and to not make it is a huge letdown on your legacy, your class's legacy as seniors. So like the seniors this year are looking for that third state finals in 4 years. They haven't been, there's only one time they haven't been. They want their legacy to be, they made it. So I think this is a hot take, especially when you get down to, it doesn't matter. 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, non-class sports. It doesn't matter. If you have a successful program, your seniors do not want to be the class that drops the ball and does not get back to where your program believes it belongs. And once you have that mindset, you can keep getting back there. So I think this is a hot take. I think they get back to their third state finals in 4 years.
Well, it's going to be tough for them to get there because when I look
it's going to be tough, yeah.
When I look at toughest sectionals, I look at sectional 47, which is where they're at. You have Lutheran, who has had 10 or more wins in 5 of the last 6 seasons. They made 2 of the last 3 state finals. They made semi-state in 2018, so they've had such a strong run getting there. You also have Park Heritage, who was 10-3 last season, number 5 in 1A. They were 31st in terms of points per game last season. You have South Putnam, who was number 8 in 1A last season. They were 20-4. They've been 20-4 the last 2 seasons. You've got Covenant Christian, who finished number 10 last season. They're the 2020 state champions who went through Lutheran to get to that state championship and took Lutheran to the wire in the sectional championship last year. You've got North Central Farmersburg, who finished number 13 last year. Even if 3 of those teams carry the success from last year into this year, it's going to be a dogfight. So that's going to be a really tough sectional to get through.
Yeah, I agree. Sectional 47 has Slaughterhouse written all over it. And I feel like anybody that can come out of this one has what it takes to make that trip to Lucas Oil Stadium Thanksgiving weekend.
Looking at players to watch, I'm going to go with Park Tudor quarterback DJ Gordon. He had 1,353 yards passing, 17 touchdowns last season. He had 710 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns last season, so 30 touchdowns there. He was 9th in 1A in yards. He led an offense that was top 35 in terms of points per game. And oh, by the way, that was only as a sophomore. So he's going into his junior season. He's got a lot of He had a year to really, grow, had a lot of great stats last season, and I think we'll only build on that. I mean, we saw what a dual threat quarterback can mean to a team that with state title aspirations with Montesie Clay, and I think DJ Gordon can be just as impactful for Park Tudor. So I think Park Tudor is going to do some great things.
Yeah, so my player to watch is actually Brady Beal. I love defense. I think at the high school level, if you can have a really, really strong defense, you have a legitimate shot of winning a state championship. And Brady Beal is that kind of player. I mean, look, he had 151 tackles last year. That's a lot. You have a nose for the ball when you have that. I mean, if you can be an anchor for your defense and help lead a really strong defense, there's no reason you cannot be a state championship contender. So I'm looking at him. I mean, when you have those kind of tackle numbers, that pops. that stands out to you. I mean, I haven't watched him play, but a number like that, if I'm just looking through stat sheets, a number like that really stands out to you. And it's like, okay, can you continue that? Can you do it again? Because people know you're coming now, and they're gonna be scheming for you and blocking against you. So can you put up numbers like that again? If you can, wow, hold on tight.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Brady Beal, because more about his team, South Adams, here in a bit as we move on into our dark horse and state championship picks to round out the podcast here tonight. First of all, my dark horse. This is just another sentimental, selfishly optimistic pick for me, but I think they were ranked highly last year, and I think they could come back and do well. And that is Monroe Central. And that's the reason why they're, a optimistic pick for me is because, and a sentimental pick for me is because they played in the same conference as Cowan, my alma mater, when I was growing up. Of course, that's when both schools were basketball only. I don't know that they're in the same conference anymore, especially not football, because Cowan football doesn't exist, undefeated since, the 1900s. What can I say? But, they were ranked number 2 in 1A last season. They've got 10 or more wins in 4 of the last 6 seasons. They return a lot of key pieces from a defense that was number 1 in the state in terms of defensive average. They've lost a lot of talent from their offense, but they're really well coached, and I believe they can make a run. So I think Monroe Central could be a team that could knock on the door of Lucas Oil Stadium come November. But my state champion, you brought up one of the players from that roster, and that is South Adams. They have a lot of key returners. Owen Weiner threw for 1,665 yards, 20 touchdowns as a sophomore last season. You bring back Maverick Somerset, who had 558 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns. And you mentioned him, Brady Beal, third in 1A in tackles with 151, led the team in fumble recoveries as well.
That was third.
Right.
So there was 2 other guys that had more tackles. That just
insanity.
It is.
But yeah, he had a great season last year. They have 3 state sectional titles. They did lose to Covenant Christian by just 1 point in the state finals in 2020. They have a top 60 ranked defense in the state last season, ranked number 7 in 1A. They've got a lot of talent returning from a strong team last season, and I think they can get their first state title program, their first state title in program history. So South Adams, they're my team to beat in 1A.
So my dark horse, I'm actually going with Park Tudor as my dark horse. When you have a quarterback like DJ Gordon, that is a huge piece of the puzzle. I mean, if you have a quarterback that can just do just about anything like DJ Gordon can, you have the opportunity to win a lot of games. Your quarterback will keep you in those games and will the team to victory, essentially. That's what a good quarterback can do for a team. Just as good as a good defense can do a lot for a team, a good quarterback can do a lot for a team as well. So because of that, and being in 1A, I mean, I really kind of feel like 1A is a little open more so this year. Not as wide open as 5A, but I would definitely say probably the second most wide open class in all of the state. But I'm going with Park Tudor there. My state champ, I am going South Adams as well. Look, I talked about a good defense can win you a state championship, but when you also have a good offense that goes on top of that good defense, that's the recipe. That's what it takes to win a state championship. I mean, 3 straight sectional titles. That's an impressive number. That's not an easy thing to do. They have been to Lucas Oil in recent years, so they know what it takes to get there. They do have that taste in their mouth of losing by 1 point to Covenant Christian. So these seniors at least have something to prove. And I think this is it. This is the year South Adams raises that state of Indiana wooden cutout.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I mean, there's no name for the trophy.
No, it's not. They need to come up with a name. I think that would be really.
And they need to go back to the old, like when I was in high school. I loved the way that the trophies looked. Now, there was no color to them when I was in high school. Now there's too much color and it's too rounded. It looks too soft. And the medals, there's too much going on the ribbon around that they put around your neck. It's way too busy with the IHSAA logo, first place smeared all over it. When we won, it was a blue ribbon with the Indiana medallion that stayed the same at the bottom. Simple and clean. I don't know. I'm turning into that old man. Hey, kids, get off my lawn.
Back in my day, it was
back
like
in my
this.
day. Yeah.